Good morning. Welcome to today's New York City Council hearing for the sub devices. If you wish to speak today, you need to fill out one of these appearance cards with the sergeant at arms. And as a friendly reminder, do not approach the dais unless your name has been called. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a meeting of the Subcommittee of Zoning and Franchises. I am Councilmember Kevin Rowley, Chair of the Subcommittee. Today, I'm joined by Councilmember Showman, who's online, Councilmember Hanks, Holden, and Dinowitz. Today, we are scheduled to hold public hearings on numerous applications for multiple projects. I will note first, however, the following two public hearings are being deferred and will be held at a later date. These are LUs 357 and 358 regarding the city map amendments relating to the JFK Conduit Logistics Center and the Broadway Junction Station Cities proposals. The first public hearing concerns a sidewalk cafe application by Cozy Corner in Councilmember Holden's district. In the second hearing, we will hear a proposal known as the 1946 East 7th Street to develop affordable senior housing in Councilmember Felder's district. The third hearing concerns another affordable housing project known as the 5602-5604 Broadway rezoning in Councilmember Dinowitz's district. The fourth hearing concerns the development of a large new office tower along Park Avenue in Councilmember Power's district. This proposal is known as the 350 Park Avenue. In the fifth and last hearing, we will hear a proposal known as 515 7th Avenue rezoning, which seeks to build a new commercial building in Councilmember Botcher's district. Before opening the hearing, I will first go over the hearing procedures. This meeting is being held in hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to testify may testify in person or through Zoom. Members of the public wishing to testify remotely may register by visiting the New York City Council's website at www.council.nyc.gov/land-use. To sign up, for those of you here in person, please see one of the sergeant at arms to prepare and submit a speaker's card. Members of the public may also view a live stream broadcast of this meeting at the Council's website. When you are called to testify before the subcommittee, if you're joining remotely, you will remain muted until recognized by myself to speak. When you are recognized, your microphone will be unmuted. We will limit public testimony to 2 minutes per witness. If you have additional testimony you would like the subcommittee to consider, or if you have written testimony you would like to submit instead of appearing in person, please email it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Written testimony may be submitted up to 3 days after the hearing is closed. Please indicate the LU number and or project name in the subject line of your email. We request that witnesses joining us remotely remain in the meeting until excused by myself, as council members may have questions. Lastly, for everyone attending today's meeting, this is a government proceeding and decorum must be observed at all times. Members of the public are asked not to speak during the meeting unless you are testifying. The witness table is reserved for people called to testify, and no video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recording as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recording to Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. Just want to state for the record, we've been joined by Councilmember Powers. I will now open the public hearing on LU 359 relating to the Cozy Corner Sidewalk Cafe application in Councilmember Holden's district. The application seeks to operate a sidewalk cafe with approximately 13 tables and 52 seats at an existing establishment in Maspeth, Queens. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online. And you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land-use. And once again, for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeants to prepare and submit a speaker's card. If you would prefer to submit a written testimony, you can always do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. I'm going to stand at ease for 1 second.
Did you mention before that the Cozy Cafe one is being deferred, or?
No. It's being held right now, but apparently they're not here yet.
He's actually right here.
Oh, he is. Okay. Oh, where is he? Where is that? Is that him? Speak to the sergeant.
That's him?
You can have hold and ask if okay. Do you have remarks? No. First. Okay. He's signing it right now.
I will now call the applicant panel for this item, which consists of Zeph Ginny.
Well,
Zeph?
yeah.
Oh, your attorney's not here yet. Oh, so you guys aren't ready. Okay. So you know what? We're going to move on to next one, and then we're going to come back to you guys, all right?
Like the next one. Go to 56. 5602. So page 22.
All right. Councilmember Holden, we'll be back to your project in a second. I will now open the public hearing on LUs 349 and 350 relating to the 5602-5604 Broadway rezoning and zoning text amendment proposal in Kingsbridge up in the Bronx. Applicant seeks to build an affordable housing project that will have approximately 226 apartments. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. For anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeant-at-arms to submit a speaker's card. And if you are filling out a speaker's card, please make sure to indicate whether you are testifying in favor or in opposition. As always, if you would prefer to submit written testimony, you may also do that by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. So I got some remarks?
No, I have a question.
Okay. Thank you. I will now call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Frank St. Jacques and Ronald Shulman. Council, can you please administer the affirmation? Excuse me if I butchered your name.
Good morning. Could you please raise your right hand and say your name for the record?
Frank St. Jacques Ackerman.
Ron Schulman, Best Development Group.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to council member questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the viewing public, if you need accessible version of this presentation, please send an email request to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. And now the applicant team may begin. I just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Good morning. Frank St. Jacques with Ackerman LLP. We're the representative for the applicant. Good morning, Chair Riley, Councilmember Dinowitz, and members of the commission. Members of the committee, joined by Ron Schulman of Best Development, who's handling the affordable housing aspect of this project. In brief, this proposed rezoning would facilitate the redevelopment of 5602-04 Broadway with a new 13-story, 100% affordable residential building with 226 units and a 188-space parking garage. Next slide, please. The rezoning area is shown here, shaded in red, is located on the east side of Broadway, just north of West 231st Street in Kingsbridge within Community District 8 in the Bronx. Is in an M11 zoning district that was established back in 1961 that is surrounded by R6 and R6 C13 zoning. The 231st Street station, serving the 1, is immediately adjacent to the rezoning area, and the site is situated between Broadway and the Major Deegan Expressway, both wide streets. Next slide, please. So we're here seeking the approval of 2 land use actions. The zoning map amendment would change the existing M11 zoning district to an R73 zoning district with a C23 commercial overlay. And we are also seeking a zoning text amendment to establish a mandatory inclusionary housing area, or MIH area, to ensure that 25% of the residential floor area of the project is set aside as permanently affordable. And we'll also note that for HPD subsidized projects such as this one, HPD requires an additional 15% of permanently affordable units to be set aside. Next slide, please. The project details are shown here. We'll highlight the unit distribution of the 226 affordable units. It's essentially a 50-50 split between studios and 1-bedrooms and 2- and 3-bedroom units. Again, we're also providing parking as well as 113 bicycle spaces. Next slide, please. Here's the site plan. The architects worked with this very constrained site. The site's essentially flag-shaped with minimal frontage on Broadway. The design goals were to accommodate the affordable housing program and maintain parking at the site to avoid disrupting a neighborhood parking resource. The configuration of the site with this limited street frontage proved challenging, but the R73 bulk envelope allows for a design that provides a sufficient number of affordable units and allows for parking. The R73 is appropriate for an affordable transit-oriented project like this. And I'll note that the required yards on both sides of the rear portion of the building create separation from the existing buildings along Broadway that are non-applicant owned, and the greenway at the rear or east of the site. Next slide, please. Just have 2 more slides. In this slide, you can see the building within the existing built context of the neighborhood. Next slide, please. And then finally, the affordability breakdown shown here, which has been updated with HPD's new term sheets. Ron Schulman is here and available to answer any questions on affordability. And myself and I can answer any other questions that the committee may have. Thank you. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. I just have a few questions, then I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Dinowitz. I just want to state for the record, we've been joined by Councilmember Carr and Councilmember Salam. Your objective is to build a 100% affordable residential building. Can you please discuss the conversations that you've been having with HPD at this point, and would you be willing to commit in writing to implementing this project with 100% affordability?
Yes, so I'll actually hand it over to Ron, who can describe the discussions we've had so far with HPD.
And Ron, just reinstate your name.
Sure. Ron Schulman, Best Development Group. We've had numerous conversations with HPD. They have our numbers. We've been updating them throughout the 3-year rezoning process. I don't think there's any reason to say that it wouldn't be an affordable housing project. That's the goal, and that's how this is being projected in the financing. Correct.
Okay. Will you be willing to commit in writing?
What does that commitment entail? I mean,
that this
we're
project...
committing to the affordability MIH, and we're committed to this affordability mix that we're showing to you.
Okay. This lot is an irregular shape and is effectively tucked in the back along the I-87. Can you explain how your proposed building fits into the context of the largely commercial 2- to 3-story buildings along the Broadway?
Sure. So we believe that the rezoning would not only facilitate development at the site, but also bring some of the residential uses that are currently non-conforming within the existing M11 district into conformance. The building, as I noted in our presentation, is set back by virtue of a yard from those existing buildings. So they not only have their own rear yards, there's also a 30-foot separation from the lot line. So while this building is larger at 13 stories than the existing 2 to 3-story buildings along Broadway, we believe there's sufficient separation between those buildings and the new building. We'll also note that as part of our environmental diligence, we projected whether potential development would occur and what that would look like for those sites were they to be redeveloped. We think that redevelopment at those sites would be appropriate given the transit-oriented nature of the site, of the rezoning area, as well as the location, again, on abutting 2 wide streets.
Is there a proposal to mitigate any noise or pollution from the highway?
There are, and apologies, I believe there are e-designations that would be recorded against the site in connection with the rezoning. Just bear with me one second, see if I can.
And just for the viewing public, can you please explain what the E designation is?
Sure. So an e-designation is essentially a restriction on a property in connection with a discretionary action, here a rezoning, that would require that certain environmental diligence occur before development would happen. So in this instance, for this project, there are e-designations related to hazardous materials, air quality, and noise that would require, for hazardous materials, any remediation that is required to occur before building permits can be issued. For air quality, that relates to emissions of a building to ensure that any new development wouldn't create adverse conditions for existing buildings. And noise typically involves creating an indoor condition by using, reducing exterior noise by using specific materials in walls and windows. So here typically we'd have double or triple pane glass to reduce noise from the elevated train and from the major deacon in this proposed development.
Okay. And lastly, I know you had it up, but can you please go over the proposed unit size breakdown and the thought process behind it?
Sure.
Sure, I'll take that, council member. So basically, we came up with a 50-50 mix between 2 and 3 bedrooms, 50% of the project, and then studios and ones, the other 50%. There's a mix of, there's a formerly homeless set aside of 15% of the units, and then there's a mix between 37, 47, 57, 67, or 77% of AMI, basically to give a widespread affordability mix in the neighborhood, which means people earning, not counting the formerly homeless, but people moving in who are not formerly homeless, between $34,000 to up to $129,000. So most of the people are going to be working New Yorkers who make 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, up to $130,000. The mix of apartments and the design was to give as many 2 and 3 bedrooms for families in the neighborhood, people who want to live here, because this is a destination location to live here for a long time, walking distance to the train, a block and a half away. The mix is a typical HPD mix. We've already looked at the comparables in the neighborhood, and we feel that these are rentable apartments if they were put on the market today, and also would provide affordability for people living in Kingsbridge or people who want to move into Kingsbridge, Riverdale. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to yield to Councilmember Dinowitz to ask his questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Riley. I'll start with the family-sized units. New York City's losing families with children at a disproportionately high rate. And yet the developments that are typically built are built with 30% 2 and 3 bedroom apartments, if any 3 bedroom at all, in large part due to the term sheets provided by HPD. And I have long called for more 2 and 3 bedroom apartments for families with children. Can you please detail how you were able to work with HPD and financing to achieve the current unit mix when we are often told we can do a maximum of 30%. You've done 50%. And of course, can you confirm in writing that the 50% unit mix of 2 and 3 bedroom apartments will hold?
Well, we've sent them the numbers, and they have our project numbers as recent. We've always projected this to be 40 to 50% 2 bedrooms. We wound up at 50% 2 to 3 bedrooms. That's what we're proposing. As far as we're concerned, that's our building. If they fight back, which they haven't, we'll let you know. But our goal is to do 50% 2 and 3s because we feel this is a family neighborhood. And from a marketability point of view, those 2 and 3 bedrooms are always going to be filled up. From an owner-manager point of view, we want to do 50% 2 and 3 bedrooms.
And at no point did HPD kind of push back and say, no,
Not
just
yet.
make more units?
They did not do that yet, no.
Okay.
No.
We also rely in my district on automobiles for a variety of daily uses, and it's particularly in the Bronx, where the biggest employer is across the Bronx, not downtown in Manhattan. I'm pleased to see that you've taken the community's input, my input, the community board's input, when developing this, to see that there are a significant number of parking spaces. Some of the pushback we get from HPD and developers sometimes is that, they never fill up. The spaces will never fill up. In the case that the number of parking spaces exceeds the interest, will spaces be provided to the public? And if so, how will that operation work?
So the residents have first offer for the parking spaces. Whoever wants to rent in the building, they can, and then the rest would be offered to the public, correct?
That's correct. And we've also mapped the commercial overlay, both because it makes sense from land use rationale to move from the M11 to a residential district with an overlay, but that overlay also provides flexibility in the event that we needed to classify any accessory residential parking that was made available to the public as public parking. So from a zoning perspective, there's flexibility. Also, just note for the record, I know you're aware, council member, is that the current use at the site is a public parking garage. So the idea is to maintain that parking use at the site for the community.
Thank you. And lastly, this site, as was mentioned before, is next to the Major Deegan, which is not just noisy, but has been the site of significant flooding. We've seen the pictures on CNN of flooding up to the tops of people's cars, people abandoning their cars. And can you talk a little more about the specific environmental resiliency work you've done to mitigate what will be significant rain events and significant flooding in that particular area?
So I'll take this one. And I'll note that there is a grade change between the Major Deegan and the site, and then there's an intervening public park space that's currently being developed. What was formerly the Tibbetts Brook Daylighting, I think it's now Putnam Greenway, which is being developed. So there is some separation in terms of grade. However, this flood concern is area wide. So some of the resiliency measures to address stormwater and prevent strain on sewers. We've made some modifications to the design of the parking ramp to create barriers to catch and release water in a safe way. So there's a barrier and a trench drain. Additionally, the architect has designed all the rooftop areas to be green roofs. And the proposed roof systems are in line with New York City DEP stormwater management system guidelines. So essentially the building is designed to meet the flood resiliency standards, and I think will work in connection with the Putnam Greenway that's under development to essentially improve resiliency for the site and the area.
Thank you. And I thank you, Chair. And I just want to say, since the beginning, I and the community have said we want to see more family-sized units. We want to make sure there's parking. We want to make sure there's increased resiliency. And I want to thank you for implementing our requests. And I'm going to turn it back to the Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Riley.
Thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz. Do we have any other questions from any committee members? There being no questions for this panel is excused. If there is no public testimony for this project, regarding LUs 349 and 350 relating to the 5602-5604 Broadway rezoning proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
you.
Chair Riley. Thank you,
Chair.
Councilmember.
I just want to state for the record, we've been joined by Councilmember Felder. I will now open the public hearing on LUs 347 and 348 relating to the 1946 East 7th Street rezoning and zoning text amendment proposal in the Ocean Parkway Special District of Brooklyn. The applicant is seeking a rezoning and zoning text amendment to build affordable senior housing in a proposed mixed-use development that will have approximately 53 units. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land-use. For anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeant at arms to submit a speaker's card. If you are filling out the speaker's card, please indicate if you are testifying in favor or in opposition. As always, if you prefer to submit written testimony, you may do so by emailing it to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Councilmember Felder, do you have any opening remarks? No. All right. I will now call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Eric Palatnik. Council, can you please administer the affirmation?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Eric Palatnik.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today in response to council member questions?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now the applicant team may begin. Please state your name, organization for the record. You may begin.
Good morning. My name is Eric Palatnik, and I'm representing the Ahiezer organization for the first of its kind, fully affordable senior housing development, which is located on East 7th Street and Avenue S in Brooklyn, on a corner that has been well established through the past 7 or 8 decades as a community-oriented corner, which includes a community recreation center and a yeshiva, already includes a religious institution, includes fully affordable senior housing in one of 2 sets of 100-year-old buildings, and we are proposing here to demolish one 4-story 100-year-old building and create in its place a completely altruistic, one-of-a-kind, fully affordable senior housing development. And if you can go to the next slide, the right-hand side of that illegible screen that you see there that I can't read, I don't know if you can, would show you that it has 47 apartments, single 1-bedrooms, because seniors desire mostly 1-bedrooms, a larger than required rear yard of 35 feet, where a 30-foot rear yard would be required, and the building is proposed to be at 6 stories, which is the result of a proposed rezoning that will rezone that corner or that section to R6A, which you could see in the middle of the slide right there. That's legible. And at the bottom, you could see the corner itself would be R7A. The left side of the screen shows you the series of existing 4-story buildings that we're speaking of. The 2 that you see on the left-hand side of your screen next to the single-family home would be replaced by the 6-story building that you see on the right side of your screen, essentially creating new housing opportunities for people in the community that are seniors. Next slide, please. This shows you the zoning map change in specific detail. The left side of the map shows you that we're situated within an R5 district. It also shows you, signified by the big letters OP, that we are in the Ocean Parkway sub-district. Part of the application, in addition to requesting the R7A and the R6A zoning, would also request the removal of the property from the Ocean Parkway sub-district. The sub-district was put in place to prevent for the proliferation of larger community facilities. It was put in place at a time before there was such a pressing need for housing. So that is why we're in the justification for removing it here. Next slide, please. This shows you in more detail what I was just speaking about. Next slide. If anybody is curious as to how long an application in New York City to create affordable housing takes, it takes 7 years, and then there's still no guarantee that when you get to the end of the ULURP process, you'll get it approved. This application started 7 years ago. The left-hand side shows you its original incarnation. It was an 8-story proposal. It was proposed under what was called AIRS, Age Income Restricted Senior Housing. Somebody in their infinite wisdom decided that they didn't want to keep that program going a few years ago, and that program was removed from the city's zoning resolution. That left us then with the proposal that you see in the middle, which culminated after City of Yes was proposed, which brought the building to a 7-story building. So we went from an 8-story building to a 7-story building. And now we are here after meeting with the community and having extensive conversations with the community. Even though the community board did oppose it, you will find testimony on the city planning record from the community indicating that a 6-story building would be perhaps acceptable. So you can see on the right-hand side, in response to the objections that were raised at the Community Planning Board, as well as concerns we've heard from the neighbors, we have reduced the size of the building to 6 stories in height, and we have removed the bulkhead that was previously proposed. And that is what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen. We can go to the next slide. The next slide gives you an example of how long we've been at this and the numerous iterations of the proposal for the reasons that I just stated a few moments ago. It just gives you a chronological history of things, including the original proposal, the response to the community's concerns in reducing the height of the building, City of Yes, and how that then brought the building's height back up. That wasn't the brightest move on my part because that upset a lot of people when it went back up after City of Yes. And now we brought it back down to the 6 stories. So this is our proposal now, is it a 6-story building. If you go to the next slide, please. The next slide tries to make a very strong land use argument and a rationale that this is the right place and the right spot for the right building. All of the buildings that you see in green or in turquoise here and the yellow one are part of the same Ahiezer organization. Also, what you cannot see on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll see it if you go to the next slide, actually, that'll show it clearly. Thank you. That shows you all of the buildings that are part of this community that thousands of people utilize in the community and which provides much-needed social services for everybody in the community. And I'm talking social services, I mean help with finances, help with food, there's food distribution, helps with educational classes, helps with social programs, programs for children, programs for adults, programs for higher education, continuing education. All of that occurs in the buildings that you see highlighted on the screen. They are all owned, controlled, and operated by Ahiezer organization, and they've been operating at this location for decades. Many people at the community level were upset with the proposal. In fact, I received opposition on this application like I've never received opposition on any application I've ever sought to pursue in New York City. And the reason why I believe there's so much opposition is because the area is already developed upon with existing community facility uses that some people in the neighborhood may feel are overbearing upon the community. My response to that is, but that's where the people are. If you ask us to move this building and build it somewhere else, it's not going to be for the very community in which we're trying to seek to service. And I'm going to show you a slide in a second that's going to show you the lack of affordable housing that's been built in this community over the past few decades. We're all watching charter reform. We're all watching the November election. One of the proposals on charter reform is that developments exactly like this, fully affordable housing developments, that are to be located in communities that are underserved by affordable housing, which this would meet the criteria. It's proposed to eliminate levels of review to remove the very objections that we're hearing today, because those objections are what are preventing the creation of fully affordable housing in New York City. If I was here representing a private developer trying to build a private building, I could see all of the validity to any objections raised. But considering we're representing a fully affordable developer in a community that hasn't seen fully affordable development in recent memory, I think this is phenomenal, especially considering the amount of social services that are located in all of the buildings around it and all of the social programming that's occurring in all the buildings around it, none of which are motivated by money, all operated by not-for-profit organizations and all funded by either the city, state, or federal government. This building itself has a fully accepted financing program set in place by HUD. and they are waiting for us to build the building. Next slide, please. This shows you what I was just talking about. It gives you the income range of what rents would be. This rent is probably even higher. This is the city's HPD's AMI program. Elliot's program, Ahiezer, runs on a even lower rent level. Next slide, please. Shows you that HUD is on board and is supporting the application. Next slide, please. I'm going to ask you, if you can, because I don't want to waste too much more of your time. I think you all got the gist of it. If you can click forward 2 slides, please. It says slide 13 at the bottom. So what I'm showing you right here on the left-hand side is the site. You can see the word site in the rezoning area in the lower left corner. If you follow East 7th Street down, all the way down, as you go to Avenue R, and you get to Avenue R on East 7th Street, you'll once again see buildings of the same height and magnitude of exactly what we are proposing on the corner of Avenue S and East 7th Street. In fact, all of 7th Street from S to the next block, which I believe is Kings Highway, but it's not marked here, are all larger, taller buildings. Over by our site, all larger, taller buildings by us. The buildings surrounding us are 44 feet. The center's building is 58 feet tall. Our building is 68 feet tall. Making the point that the neighborhood, although is opposed to the tall building here, is not a stranger to taller buildings, few of which serve as much of an altruistic purpose as this would. If you can go now to slide 18, please. I'm going to show you the minimalist to minimalist difference in buildings. Maybe slide 18 is not the right slide. It has the word site on it. Maybe it says development site, height comparison up top. There you go. Thank you. The slides got juxtaposed. This slide I created because people are telling me that the building is too tall, it's out of character, it doesn't fit within the block, and it's going to cause mayhem. I'm showing you that the building is, if I brought my mother, who's 83 years old and doesn't know much of a difference between building heights out here, and said, what do you think of this building on the right to the one on the left? And I put her on the street, she'd look up and she'd say, is it taller? The reality is it's not much taller than what's existing there right now. It's 22 feet taller, which from the street level is not much of a perceptible difference. Having said that, replacing a 100-year-old building with a brand new building, state-of-the-art, fully financed, fully affordable housing does make much of a difference. You can go to the next slide, please. The owner, the operator, Ahiezer organization, Elliot Harari, is here today, has gone through great lengths to direct his architect to try to accommodate community concerns. One of the concerns was the rear yard of the building. The rear yard of the building is proposed to be 35 feet. As you can see here, it's required to be 30 feet, and it's substantially larger than most of the other rear yards. I will wrap up by clicking ahead. If you can click ahead to slides 21, 22, and 23, it should be a pink slide. There you go. 2 more, please. 1 more, please. Okay. This slide is, and I'll stop here. I am here today for the first time representing a fully affordable development that has not received community support. It's the first time in my career that I've had that opportunity, and I'm not so thrilled about it. So I've created for you a slide here that shows you the affordable housing that's been created within Community Board 15. And it's not a slide on Community Board 15. Community Board 15 is a pro-development community board, as is the entire district. It's rare that they say no to development. This is not anybody's doing. But the reality of it is, as you can see on the right-hand side, that there have only been 123 units of affordable housing created in the last decade. Not one has been built. So you're in a community that needs the housing, has not had the housing been built. There is community opposition. I'm sure as God made green apples, there are people that are opposed to it. There's also support from the borough president. There's also support from the city planning commission. And there's also some community support as well that's not voiced as loudly. The councilman is in a very difficult position here. I respect him and his decision-making abilities, and he's got quite a few pieces of information to weigh. Everybody involved in the process has been fair. Everybody thinks the overarching goal is deserving, and I hope we all come to the right decision together. I thank you very much for giving us the time. I realize it went a little longer than I usually do. Thank you.
You went way over than you usually do, Eric. I appreciate it, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I understand correctly, you're seeking to develop the senior housing pursuant to a federal program known as Section 202. If that is the case, what is the status of your discussion with HUD, and do you know when the next funding round for this program will take place? Also, can you please speak about the uncertainty around the federal funding?
Okay, the federal funding is ready. I've just been whispered in my ear. I believe they're committed to it. There's no uncertainty. Nothing that just happened in recent times with politics. I know that there's been a lot of federal discussion this summer. Nothing has impacted that on the funding sources. We are still fully funded, and the commitments remain in place.
Okay. If you do not receive the needed funding, but we approve this rezoning, what are your plans for this site?
We will not be building it. We're a not-for-profit organization. If we don't receive the funding, we don't have the ability to build it, so it'll stay as is.
Okay. This application was disapproved by Community Board 15. Can you explain why the Community Board opposed this application?
I just did my best to try to do that for you. It's hard for me to put words in other people's mouths, and I don't want to speak too closely. But I do believe, too specifically for anybody, I do believe the issues that I raised with respect to the developments that already exist in the community on the corner, and the impact that has had on people's lives on the block front. And, of course, living next to any kind of not-for-profit, religious, educational, community-based center brings with it activities, sporting events, school events, celebrations, and things like that. They all bring cars. They all bring garbage trucks. They all bring deliveries. If I had to take a guess at what people were concerned about based on what I've heard, it would be those issues.
How much units of housing are we talking about?
47 fully affordable housing units.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to yield to Councilmember Felder to ask his questions.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to speak about, I think it's about almost 25 years ago, I was a chair of a subcommittee, the Landmarks Committee, believe it or not. That's a longer story, but at that time, I think they appointed me a chair as a Landmarks Committee to hurt any advocates for the landmarks. But it's an honor to be able to have a few minutes, and I thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. So, can you, I don't know if Mr. Plotnick was testifying in favor or opposed to the project. So, but that shows clearly how objective his presentation was, and I thank you for that. So can you, I don't know who I'm speaking to, but whoever, maybe there's no one here, maybe AI is running this. Is somebody? Oh, somebody's doing it? Okay, page 13, please. Yeah, I just want to point out some of the things that I disagree with the previous presentation about. I shouldn't say disagree. I'd say I have another opinion. I would also, I don't like talking about myself because, I guess my time is up. Is right?
No, you could continue, Councilmember.
Oh, yes? Okay, like 20 minutes or so?
Another 2 minutes is all right.
Yeah, okay. So I had so many jokes prepared. Well, now what am I going to do? I was going to say is that if you look at this, you will notice that there are many large, buildings, but they're not on the right side of the picture. They're on the left side of the picture, And you're not, it's not, you know, the reason for that is first of all, along Ocean Parkway, you know, that's full of very tall buildings. And then beyond that, the other way, there are many tall buildings. But on the right side, they're all residential buildings for the most part. So I just want to know, you know, if you can please, the proposal is facing unprecedented, you know, community opposition. And you mentioned yourself that usually there's a deference when people want to build a community or, you know, something for the community. Can you explain how you believe this aligns with the existing character of the neighborhood, particularly in the terms of scale, density, and overall use?
Would you like me to respond, Councilmember?
If you want, if you want to say that it doesn't, then
Well,
you know.
Objective, yeah, but not. I disagree on the character issue only because of what I showed you to the room a few minutes ago. There's existing 44-foot tall multiple dwellings on the property right now. This building is proposed to be 24 feet taller, somewhat analogous to the height of the community center that's on the corner that stands at about 50 feet, 54 feet, so just 10 feet shorter than that. I don't think we're worlds away from the existing buildings, and I think we could all understand in today's society that the spatial demands of people's living needs are different than they were decades ago, and buildings that have modern facilities and modern heating systems and recreational spaces and community spaces and brand new everything are preferred to buildings that are 100 years old. If this is not approved, the question was asked before, what can we do? Well, one of the options to do would be to retrofit the existing 100-year-old buildings and make those senior housing. That's allowed to be done. And all of the concern that's being given about traffic, noise, garbage, people coming, and the elderly causing a commotion or adding to the commotion on the block would still be there. And I'm willing to bet, given the dedication of the not-for-profit group that's here today, that if this were to be denied, as the council member had said, what would happen if it was approved and not built? I think if it was denied and still funded, I think you still might find the group trying to find a way to retrofit the existing buildings. And I think that would do a huge disservice to our seniors, people that have worked their entire lives. I think they're deserving of having the same experience that I just dropped my daughter at college in a brand new dormitory that was built in this decade. Sure, there were 100-year-old dormitories on the college campus, but every kid that I met that day was thrilled to be in the brand new dormitory. I think the seniors would feel the same way, and I think that for the sake of 24 feet, not letting them have that chance, I don't think it's hurting the character of the neighborhood. I think it's improving it. I think that neighborhood will be a more beautiful neighborhood with that many more seniors walking around.
Okay, I don't want to take advantage because this is my first opportunity to be able to work with the chair. So I have another 15 questions, which I'll just, as you can see, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
I thank you so much, Councilman.
May I add just one more thought?
Well, 1 minute. If he's going to get 20 minutes, I mean, then...
I'm going to agree with you. To his
rip
point,
up whatever you were going to say. That's all, yeah.
To his point, what I'm saying is if the height of the building that's allowable under the zoning is objectionable, we'd be willing to cap the height at a 6-story height so that it fits within the neighborhood and to better and to make sure that there's no intrusion that the council member, because his opinion is valid, and if he feels it's too tall, we'd be happy to cap it at a 6-story height if that would satisfy community concerns.
I think you and the council members should have further conversations after this
sure
hearing. I do think that it's important that we do pay attention to what this would possibly bring to the community, but the concerns of the community are very important to the council member. So if you could connect with him after the hearing, that would be much appreciated. Thank you, Eric.
Will be.
There being no more questions, this applicant panel is excused. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify regarding LUs 347 and 348 relating to 1946 East 7th Street rezone proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. I will now open a public hearing on LU 359 relating to Cozy Corner Sidewalk Cafe application, Councilmember Holden's district. The application seeks to operate a sidewalk cafe with approximately 13 tables and 52 seats at an existing establishment in Maspeth, Queens. For anyone wishing to testify on these items remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online, and you may do that now by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/landuse. And for anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeant at arms to submit a speaker's card. Oh, excuse me, Cozy Corner is actually in Ridgewood, Queens. Thank you. I will now call the applicant panel for this item, which consists of Zeph Ginny and Vito Palmieri. Council, can you please administer the affirmation?
Good morning. Could you please raise your right hand? Both of you, thank you. Please keep your hand raised. Okay, we're going to do this. Okay. Please raise your right hand, both of you. Okay, here we go. Could you please state your name for the record?
Vito Palmieri.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to council member questions?
Yes.
Thank you. And the applicant team may begin. Just please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the board. My name is Vito Palmieri. I'm the attorney for Mr. Genie, and I represent the Cozy Corner with regard to this application for the additional seating. As you know, the Cozy Corner is located in Ridgewood, Queens, on 70th Avenue. This establishment has been there almost 100 years. It's a very local cafe and bar where the local community participate and have been attending there for, like I said, nearly 100 years. Mr. Genie bought it in approximately 7 years ago and has invested significant money into this establishment to better it so that it would be better for the people of the community. It's a very local spot. If we were going to liken it to anything, it'd be like Cheers, you know, where people know each other and they come to the location. The families come there. It's not a location that has ever had any issues or problems in the community. Mr. Genie, of course, as everyone else, suffered during the COVID period, and they were allowed to put the outdoor seating based on that. And Mr. Genie not only put the outdoor seating, but he beautified it. And I believe, if I can show you some pictures, which can show you an overhead view. If I might hand this over. Thank you. If you could take a look at that, you could see that all of the outdoor seating that's on the street has the beautification of the flowers. It meets all the code requirements. Department of Transportation actually has approved this seating already. And with regard to prior concerns that were raised at the prior hearing.
I'm sorry to interrupt
Sure.
you, but I'm being told that we're having a difficult time hearing you online.
Oh,
Could you just
I'm sorry.
move the mic?
Is that better?
Let's hope so.
Okay. So in the prior hearings, one of the concerns was that the fire department might not have access to the street because of the outdoor seating. We have taken precautions to try to help that. We listened to what the council said, and my client moved the banquettes 2 feet closer from the corners, so that this way, it used to be 8 feet, now they're only 6 feet, and in between each of the banquettes he left a 6-foot opening where he puts even cones in between so that vehicles can't park in there, so that if, God forbid, there was a need for the fire department to be able to access the building, they would not only be able to get around the perimeter because of the fact that he moved them closer, but in addition to that, by having the cones in between, no vehicles could park there, and the firemen would have access directly into the building in between each of them, which is, again, something that he did based on the conversations and the discussions that were previously had. I believe that the focus of this application, though, is for the outdoor seating underneath on the sidewalk, not necessarily the street. And the part on the sidewalk, if you notice, even in the picture, the seating is under the awning, which is also separate and gives plenty of space, over 12 feet, for walking on the sidewalk. That space has been there now for approximately 4 years. There's never been any complaints. Mr. Genie has numerous employees and community people who make their living working in this establishment. This is a local establishment that helps the people in the community. He's beautified it. If you look at it, you could see it's a very attractive location, and he's met all of the requirements. And in fact, I believe the DOT has requested that this be approved. So we would just ask the council to allow us to continue to serve the community, allow Mr. Genie's business, which is seasonal, obviously in the winter months. It's less likely to have anybody outside, so they need the additional income from the summer months when they have the opportunity to do it. So we would ask that the council would consider approving that application.
Thank you. I have no questions, so I'm going to yield to Councilmember Holden.
Thank you, Chair Riley and members of the subcommittee, for allowing me to address this application of Cozy Corner Bar, seeking a revocable consent to operate a sidewalk cafe, 6001 70th Avenue in Ridgewood, within Community District 5. My concerns remain the same when this application was previously heard months ago. The combination of a sidewalk cafe and existing roadway dining is a little too much for such a congested area. We cannot have both. It must be one or the other. I said this over and over again. This sidewalk is an important public pathway, and it should not be compromised in a way that hinders fire trucks, sanitation vehicles, and general flow. We have received complaints from residents, and there still has been no outreach from the owner to address these issues or to demonstrate community support. Ridgewood's dense pedestrian and vehicle traffic requires careful consideration before granting any additional use of the public space. I'm open to working with these concerns, but that requires the owner to engage with my office, and remove either the roadway dining or the sidewalk cafe. Both is too much. And again, if you look at the number of spaces that the roadway, and we have no control, this committee has no control over the roadway, DOT does. They have a tremendous amount, 50 to 60 feet of parking they're taking up. If you know that Ridgewood, they're parking at hydrants now and crosswalks, on sidewalks. It is ridiculous. And we had a fire that the firehouse couldn't get to the hydrant in that area because somebody was blocking it. And it caused more and more damage and more injuries. So this is a classic example of give an inch, take a mile. And by the way, the applicant says this is going to be underneath the awning. Well, DOB, I contacted yesterday, that awning is illegal. Did you know that?
We've never received any notice of violation that it's illegal.
Well, you got one this morning, all right, because we checked. And DOB, I spoke to DOB yesterday, have no approval for an awning, and that awning goes the entire length. So here and by the way, 12 feet. You're saying the sidewalk is 12 feet wide?
Yes.
That is. I got one square, one flag. If you look at it, it's one flag. You're going to have waiters and waitresses and people going back and forth. Plus, you're in the roadway. I mean, this is way too much. Now, I asked the applicant one or the other. He just wants to come back again and waste everybody's time. But I'm not, again, I'd be against this because it's too much. If you said to me, I'll take the sidewalk cafe, we'll do that. But now you want both again. And if you look at the photographs, you're saying put cones in the street? That's illegal, sir.
No, there are
You
cones
can't
in between
put,
the
you can't put cones in the
banquettes.
street. Take it upon yourself to put cones in the street. This is what they don't understand. You can't put an A-frame sign on the sidewalk, which they're doing. Illegal, again. You can't put street furniture, milk cans, all these other things on a sidewalk. It's not your property. You're putting it on public property. Yeah, you put flowers, but if you look at the ridiculous length of this, again, this is abuse of public space. You've enclosed, by the way, you've enclosed that illegal awning too at the entrance, which is another violation. So be prepared. because you just think you can do anything you want and put up anything you want and put up an A-frame sign, put up milk cans, enclose an awning that's illegal, I mean, you got to be kidding me here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Holden. There being no more questions for this panel is excused. Thank you so much.
May I be able to rebut any of that?
Sure.
I just want to note one thing. If I understand that the attorney representing Mr. Genie for the application previously had contacted your office but was not able to speak to you. Moreover, it appears that these violations now.
Wait. Is this application
Yes.
or the previous application?
No, this application.
This application, somebody contacted my office?
Yeah, in
I asked
fact,
all my
yesterday.
staff. I've never been contacted. Can you show that?
I can contact her. She told
I know,
me.
but the person's not here, so
No.
that's hearsay. That's
Okay,
hearsay.
well, I'm telling you, it's firsthand knowledge to me. She
Well,
told
what
me
proof
directly.
did she show that she did it? Email? Do you
I'm not trying to fight with you.
No,
I'm just
I'm trying to-
point out that I'm willing to work with you.
When
and I'm willing
when
to-
something is false, when somebody states something on the record and it's false, I'm going to come back at you. I was not contacted. I asked my staff over and over again. They were not contacted.
Okay, well,
And again, nobody reached out on this application. Did you reach out on this application?
I was only contacted yesterday because the attorney
All right,
who
okay,
could
so
handle
here we
it
got
could
another-
not be here.
Okay,
And so that's
you
why I'm here.
you didn't contact my office. The previous person you're saying did.
Yes.
The previous lawyer or attorney.
Yes.
Nobody in my office has any recollection, nor can you prove it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bottom line is what I'm making the point of. This has been here for 4 years, right? There's been no other complaints. We never received any violations other than what you're telling us now. So it seems like because we made the application, there seems to be retaliatory violations now for things that were never brought to anyone's attention prior to this.
What's the total seating of, if you get this application, the total seating that you're going to have outside? And above this, there's people living above it. There's people living across the street, and this is going to be 100 people, let's say, outside. Does anybody feel that, in a quiet community, that's what we should put up with?
But it's been there for 4 years. There's
I don't
not
care if
any
it's been there.
complaints.
This is because of the pandemic, and this caused a problem when it was too wide in the street. And he gave us 2 feet of public space. You took away how many? Parking's at a premium there, right?
Parking's always been.
So don't tell me that the applicant is concerned, is a good part of the community when he takes up about 6 or 7 parking spaces on the street where people can't park now. And I'll show you photographs of people parking at hydrants and in crosswalks.
In this block?
In
On
that
this block?
district.
If
Yes.
I may interject and mediate, please. All right. Thank you, everyone. It seems like there needs to be communications before we do a vote on this project.
I would appreciate it.
To my understanding, Councilmember Holden is willing to have those conversations and willing to approve something, just not both of these proposals. So I think having a conversation with his office after this, before we vote, will be more ideal for this project to continue. We can't compare what happened during COVID to now. I know the applicant really wants to do this, but the community has a lot of pushback. But the council member is trying to work with you guys. So I would just encourage a conversation after. And if you need me to mediate it and be there, just call me. If I'm available, I may be. All right, but please,
Will do,
if you
Mr.
could
Chairman. Thank
contact the council member's office after, all right? Council member? All right.
Thank you.
You good? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
This panel is excused. There being no members of the public who wish to testify on LU's 359 regarding the Cozy Corner Sidewalk Cafe application, the public hearing is now closed and the item is laid over. Okay. I will now open the public hearing on LU's 351 and 352 relating to the 350 Park Avenue proposal located in East Midtown. Applicant is seeking to build one of the tallest new office buildings in the city. The application before us are 1, as a special permit for a public concourse floor area bonus, and a special permit to modify bulk public space and design requirements. For anyone wishing to testify on this item remotely, if you have not already done so, you must register online by visiting the council's website at council.nyc.gov/land use. For anyone with us in person, please see one of the sergeant at arms to submit a speaker's card. Councilmember Powers, do you have any remarks for this project?
No, I will forego remarks. I have questions. I won't be tearing up any papers or anything like that. And I have a lot of confidence in your ability to mediate the prior conflict. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I will now call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Zach Bernstein and Barry Langer. Are we expecting Alan Reagan, Jonathan Reyes, and Jaehyun Jung? Okay, so all of you, can you just raise your right hand for me, please?
Okay. Could you please state your name for record one by one, starting with Mr. Burns?
Zachary Bernstein.
Barry Langer.
Alan Reagan. Jaehyun Jung.
Do you please keep your right hand raised? Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to council member questions?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would just ask that you please reinstate your name and organization for the record. You may begin.
Great. Thank you, council members. Good afternoon, I guess at this point. My name is Barry Langer. I'm the head of development for Vornado Realty Trust, and I'm joined here by my colleagues and Zachary Bernstein from Fried Frank. After having gained positive support from the community board, the borough president, and the city planning commission, we are excited to present 350 Park Avenue to you both, to everyone today. Next slide, please. 350 Park Avenue is a project of both Vornado, the Rudin organization, and Ken Griffin, head of Citadel and Citadel Securities. It is a project designed by a world-class design team of Foster & Partners, Field Ops, Spears Majors, and others, as you see on the screen. Next slide. The project seeks to demolish the existing 350 Park Avenue building, which is that glass building sitting just to the left of the Racket Club in this image, and the building behind it, which the Rudin organization owns at 40 East 52nd Street, which is a building that was vacated by BlackRock when they moved to Hudson Yards. Can you hear me okay? Great. To speak about the zoning actions, I'm going to hand it over to Zach to take the next several slides.
Hello, Chair Riley, Councilmember Powers. I'm Zach Bernstein with Fried Frank, Land Use Council. To the applicant, next slide, please. So the development site at 350 Park Avenue is in the East Midtown subdistrict of the Special Midtown District. As you can see in the alphabet soup on the screen, there are multiple sub-areas within the East Midtown subdistrict. This is within the Park Avenue sub-area and the northern sub-area. In those sub-areas, the base FAR is up to 15 FAR. There are as-of-right increases of an additional up to 13 FAR, as well as the opportunity to apply, as we are here today, for a bonus of an additional 3 FAR for a public concourse. So the maximum total across these sub-areas is up to 28 FAR. The proposal here today, inclusive of an existing building to remain, would be 25.15 FAR. Next slide, please. I'll start with the bottom of this slide. There are 2 as-of-right certifications that have already gone through the process. Those really get to the bulk of the floor area in the building. East Midtown attempted to incentivize the demolition of outdated buildings that happen to be overbuilt by allowing for a buyback, essentially, of existing overbuilt floor area with contributions to a public realm fund, and also intended to support the upkeep of landmarks in East Midtown and the transfer of their development rights through an as-of-right transfer. What's before us here today are 2 special permits, as I mentioned before, the 3 FAR bonus for the public concourse special permit, as well as certain waivers that are available for a building using that extra floor area under the qualifying site special permit. Next slide, please. This is an illustration of where the floor area is coming from, with magic arrows coming from St. Patrick's Cathedral and St. Bartholomew's Church, which is really the bulk of the floor area that will comprise the addition in this new building. There's also the overbuilt buyback of 89,000 square feet and 200,000 square feet of public concourse bonus. Next slide, please. Again, these as-of-right certifications result in a contribution to the Public Realm Improvement Fund, and so for the 2 overbuilt buildings on this site, it results in a $5.5 million contribution to the Public Realm Fund. Next slide, please. And then the transfers from the landmarks each come with a contribution to the Public Realm Fund as well, so that's an additional $30 million to the Public Realm Fund, a very, very sizable overall contributions. Next slide, please. And so there are very material supports for these historic structures in the district, a total of about $150 million to ensure the future upkeep of these gems in East Midtown, as well as almost $36 million into the Public Realm Fund for the governing group to decide to use for projects in the district. Next slide, please. I'll hand it back to Barry to walk you through the building and the public concourse.
Thanks, Zach. Next slide, please. Here's a rendering looking southwest of the proposed building designed by Foster & Partners. As you can see, the building steps back off of Park Avenue. Its north and south facades are also articulated by a series of flutes that run the full height of the building. The building also leans in from both 51st and 52nd Street to not only maximize light and air down to Park Avenue, but also to the 2 adjacent side streets. Next slide, please. The building will be highly sustainable. In fact, it is using the ultra-low energy tools within the zoning resolution. It will be all-electric, triple-pane facade. Vornado is a leader in sustainability, and all of our great and best efforts are in this design proposal. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side is the building massing of a theoretical as-of-right project. I would note the stepping off Park Avenue and the public space on 51st Street. And as the sequence demonstrates, the design team has sculpted the project, as I mentioned, off of both Park Avenue and 51st and 52nd Streets to create the massing and design that we are proposing. And importantly for this application, we're proposing to move the public space, dramatically increase it, and place it out on Park Avenue, which is the next series of slides. Next slide, please. Next slide. The team looked to Park Avenue's great public spaces as inspiration for designing the public concourse. You could see on the screen several of those spaces in the images. Next slide. I would note that several of the public spaces along Park Avenue are elevated by several steps. That's a direct response to the Metro North train shed that exists underneath Park Avenue, underneath several of these buildings. Next slide. In an as-of-right building, the avenue frontage would normally be occupied by bank branches or, in some cases, even a Ferrari dealership. That's the normal condition on Park Avenue, with the public spaces located on the south-facing block on 51st Street, adjacent to kind of loading infrastructure and other things that typically exist on 51st and 52nd Street. Next slide. The proposal is to dedicate the Park Avenue frontage and the corners to the public concourse space. We're doing that by pushing the building's core further into the footprint of the block. Next slide. We're also proposing to open up the corners of the project by cantilevering the structure out, removing the columns that otherwise would be there. That creates view corridors to the adjacent landmarks at the Seagram's Building, St. Bart's, and the Racket Club. Next slide. In addition to opening up the views, it also opens up circulation. As you can see in this image, the view corridors are drawn in yellow, demonstrating how the public concourse has visibility to the landmarks I mentioned. Next slide. Sectionally, this is what a normal building on Park Avenue looks like with the train shed underneath. Our site has the train shed under only the easternmost 50 feet of the footprint. The remaining 200 feet is on land. The area underneath our site actually is not even active track space. It was used as storage during the construction of East Side Access. But as you can see in this diagram, normally these spaces are elevated. Next slide. We have been working very closely with both the MTA and city planning to remove those physical barriers by recessing into the train shed elements like the tree pits that support the landscaping and other elements. Obviously, that creates a more fluid experience between the sidewalks and the public concourse, one without barriers to entry. Next slide. In 3D, you can see here how that plays out. I would note there's a 4-foot elevation difference between the upper left-hand corner of this image and the lower right. That elevation difference has been mitigated along the entire frontage seamlessly with the sidewalk elevation and has been isolated to two very shallow ramps that exist heading up to the lobby of the building. Next slide. Using all the tools of our design team and of what makes great public spaces, the public spaces are fully amenitized with seating, with planting, with trees, with food and beverage spaces to create a lively environment. And out on Park Avenue, 2 water features. Think about the water features in front of the Seagram's building. There's a great amount of that kind of learnings on the existing Park Avenue. Next slide, please. This is a sequence of renderings I'm going to click through pretty quickly. Here's the existing view. There's one of those bank branches, a Fidelity branch of the existing building on the corner of 52nd Street. Next slide. The proposed public concourse and the building as proposed. Next slide. A view from Park Avenue. This would be standing on the steps at 345 Park. We've taken liberties in this image to demonstrate what the city has indicated will be a kind of park structure existing along the Park Avenue median. That design is not final, but the intention is that the public concourse ultimately allows for the public space and the Park Avenue to play off each other both visually and connecting. Next slide. Here's a view at the corner of 51st Street. As I click through the sequence, we'll highlight some of the amenitization I mentioned earlier. Next slide. The public concourses include movable seating and fixed seating. In our experience, the movable seating works very well with the fixed seating to allow for conversations, people to create spaces that they want to use the space well. It's all high-quality materials. Next slide. Field operations, our landscape architect, who some of you may know from their work on the High Line, has specified a very robust planting program to activate these spaces. It provides not only shade but visual interest. Next slide. Our design team at Foster & Partners is famously known for Apple stores. So as you can imagine, the glass in the storefront will be one of the most transparent elements of the project, which allows views straight through from 51st to 52nd Street, opening up views of the adjacent landmarks and other spaces. Next slide. Here's a view of the 52nd Street side of the public concourse. Next slide. It is anchored at the western end by food and beverage spaces on both the 51st Street and 52nd Street side to activate the space. Next slide. A view of the corner. As I noted earlier, the corner columns have been removed to open up circulation and visual connectivity between the public concourse and the adjacent sidewalks. Next slide. This arcade has been set at 40 feet high. For those of you that know Vornado's work at Penn Station, the space in front of Madison Square Garden has a similar arcade that's 40 feet high. That is a soaring height. It's pretty spectacular how high 40 feet is. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the corners have been opened up to create visibility. Next slide. And our intention working with both DOT and the Design Commission would be to expand through a distinctive sidewalk program, the materials of the plaza directly out to the curb to enhance the amount of public realm space that this project is intervening in. Next slide. It features a robust nighttime lighting program to ensure both safety and visual interest. Next slide. Here's a view along Park Avenue. You can see the very shallow slope of the ramps up to the lobby. There are no handrails because these ramps are very shallow. It doesn't require it, so it's very accessible space. Next slide. On the right-hand side, this image, I'm highlighting the 2 water features that front Park Avenue. Those water features, in addition to providing visual interest as people walk through the public concourse or on the adjacent sidewalk, also seek to hide that subtle ramping that happens from the street. Next slide.
Don't forget white noise.
And white noise. Thanks, Zach. This is a view looking back from the restaurant side of 52nd Street. You can see the Seagram's building and Racket Club on the left. Only a few more slides. Thank you, council members, for your patience. Next slide, please. Here is a view on 51st Street. One more. And another existing condition along 51st Street today. Note St. Bart's in the background on the right. Next slide. And if this proposal is approved, this is the public concourse experience that replaces on 51st Street today. Hand it back to Zach to summarize quickly for you all the zoning actions, and then we'll take your questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Barry. Next slide. Very quickly, next slide, please. Just to recap on the 4 area stack in the building, again, 1.2 million square feet of the building is as of right floor area through the tools I mentioned before. 200,000 square feet is through the public concourse bonus for the high-quality public space Barry walked everyone through, for a total building of about 1.4 million square feet of zoning floor area. Next slide, please. And the companion action is the waivers that are permitted to be applied for in connection with a qualifying building like this for height and setback, qualifying site rules, and mandatory district plan elements. Barry, next slide, please.
So to conclude, we're very excited about this project. It'll be the first ground-up new office building on Park Avenue in many years to start. It has secured an anchor tenant in Citadel and Citadel Securities, and we believe this project is a great investment in the city, but also a great use of the East Midtown program and rezoning that this council and the City Planning Commission put in several years ago. In total, you could see the benefits on the screen of about $4.5 billion of project cost, 15,000 jobs, $150 million to St. Pat's and St. Bart's, $36 million into the Public Realm Fund, and of course the public concourse that I just walked you through. And with that, I'll turn to our last slide and yield our time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Next slide, please. I didn't know if they heard me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, beautiful picture. Thank you. Can you please state why the bulk waivers you're seeking are appropriate for this project?
Sure. Yeah, I'll handle that one. So Midtown, not many people know the details of Midtown height and setback regulations, but they involve a very complex set of rules involving Waldron diagrams. And so the City Planning Commission, when passing East Midtown, recognized that for buildings that were trying to use the special new tools of East Midtown, including getting extra floor area put into the building through a bonus such as the public concourse, and when you're sculpting out the bottom of a building to put in a public space, that the prescriptive rules likely don't work anymore. And so the waivers are to accommodate the distinctive design of the building, setting back to the carving out without actually having a street wall along Park Avenue, and also fitting in the extra area.
Okay. I understand your zoning lot includes an existing building that you do not plan on demolishing, but given the size of your proposed building, why can you not provide all the required public space? You are proposing to include a public concourse to obtain more density and to satisfy for the public space requirements for a qualifying building. Why should the same public space satisfy two different requirements?
Thanks for that question. I don't think it is not satisfying the public space. It is providing one consolidated high-quality space on Park Avenue in lieu of what would have been a much smaller space on the mid-block of the site. And so it's really in line with the answer to my question before. This is under the waivers that are available to accommodate doing something different and better.
I just want to add to that, if I could, Chair. Including the Madison Avenue building in the zoning lot provided funds to that owner to allow them to basically keep a Class B building functional as an office building in Midtown, one. Two, it opened up our ability to purchase more air rights from both St. Pat's and St. Bart's than otherwise we would have been allowed to do if we were just on our zoning lot, the development footprint. And three, of course, that provides more money into the Public Realm Fund. By including that building within the zoning lot, it triggered another series of public actions in terms of the public concourse space, but without actually the footprint to do it, because we weren't proposing to tear down that existing building to remain.
Okay. There are sizable buildings where you plan on building this new office building. Could you discuss the occupancy levels of these buildings and how you will go about demolishing such larger buildings? And how long will this project take?
Thank you for the question. So there are really three buildings on the site today. The 350 Park building on Park Avenue is presently occupied by both Citadel and Citadel Securities, our anchor tenant. They are presently building out their, I call it swing space at 660 Fifth Avenue, a few blocks away, which they'll occupy during the entire development period of this project. The second building, 40 East 52nd Street, the building owned by the Rudin organization, has been empty since BlackRock, its main tenant, moved to 50 Hudson Yards a few years ago. And then there's a very small townhouse building on the side street on 51st Street that's been vacant for several years as well. So the majority of the footprint of the site is vacant today, and the one building that does have tenancy in it, it is for the future anchor tenant of this project. In terms of your question on time, the expectation is that we would commence demolition of the existing buildings Q2 of 2026, so 9 months from now, very soon. Demolition would take approximately 1 year to complete, and then the new building would come online in approximately 2032.
Okay.
If you've watched 270 Park Avenue, the JP Morgan building, go up,
Yeah.
you understand these projects take a fair amount of
time.
time to construct.
Okay, thank you. I will now recognize Councilmember Powers for his questions.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. Which not my first time seeing it, but still good to be refreshed on it. And obviously, a project is going to redefine the skyline here in Midtown New York City, and hopefully retain one of our big employers here in the city and do much more, which is one of the intentions of the East Midtown rezoning when it was first done. And we've been able to bring a number of projects along in my 8 years of being here in the City Council. A few questions on the project. Obviously, we know Citadel is going to occupy space here and remain on site there. How much space in that building is it expected Citadel is going to take?
Sure. The rentable area, which is different from zoning area, is about 1.7 million square feet, and Citadel is committed to taking at least 850,000 square feet of that space. As Citadel has continued to grow in New York, I would expect they likely take more, but as a baseline commitment, they're taking at least 50% of this building.
Got it. And for the other tenant space there, is that we haven't announced another tenant in the building, so I assume that's closer to the time when the building is built.
Yeah, our expectation is for the balance of the space, it's designed to be highly flexible for the types of users that we see on Park Avenue, which are financial services firms, law firms, tenants like that. And those smaller users tend to lease much closer to delivery. So as we get closer to completion of the project, that's when we would expect to be leasing the balance of that space.
Got it. How does the proposed height and bulk compare to the surrounding buildings in the area?
Take that one.
Sure. I think that looking at 270 Park Avenue is a good example. I think the designs are very complementary of each other. They're both from the same architecture firm who's in the room today, Foster and Partners, and I think really representative of a new crop of office buildings that prioritizes health and wellness and outdoor space with the setbacks as the building rises rather than a sheer square building. And so we think it will complement both the existing buildings that are along Park Avenue today, but also be a shining example of the next generation.
And for the the larger community that's in this area, for some of the other projects that were, I think, larger scale and a little bit closer to Grand Central, there's been a lot of amenities sort of built in, whether it's public space outside, whether it's space that inside the building. Just give us a sense of how the public, whether you're an employee in the area or somebody traveling through the area, how they will be interacting with this space, how they might be using it, whether there'll be public access to any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I really think the public concourse is the main answer to that question. It will be a totally unparalleled space along Park Avenue, both because of its accessibility and the lengths that have been gone to keep it all at the same grade as the sidewalk. Also with distinctive paving going all the way out to the curb line, it will feel like a very expansive area that pedestrians in the area encounter. We have an office in Midtown. I spend a lot of time walking up and down Park Avenue, and on the west side of Park Avenue, there's very little relief, and where there are public spaces, they're either in under a ceiling or up elevated steps. And so the way we talk about it among the team is this feels like a public living room off of Park Avenue. I think that's the primary way the community will experience this building.
For the in compiling the sort of FAR for this project, the overbuilt buyback program, I think I understand what that is. Is that essentially buying back? You're overbuilt today, and you're basically buying back the height at where you're at today. Is that essentially what that program?
Yeah, it's buying back for buildings that were built before 1961 zoning, and that was one of the main impediments that first the Bloomberg administration, but then it didn't work out, and then the de Blasio administration, and finally passing East Midtown, was trying to overcome, because when you had an overbuilt building with a certain amount of square feet, let's say you had a building with 500,000 square feet, but if you empty the tenants, stopped receiving rent, demolish the building, and build a new building, you can only build the 300,000 feet. It was a huge disincentive, and so we're utilizing the allowance to get back what we already had, essentially, with the tax that goes into the public realm fund.
What year were the existing buildings built in? You said you mentioned pre-61. That's what I was asking.
Good question. 1950s?
Yeah, the 350 Park building is a circa 1950s building. The 40 East 52nd building, the Rudin building, is...
Well, that was 1980s. We're not
80s.
getting a buyback.
That one
from
is
building.
that one is not overbuilt.
The 350 Park Avenue building is overbuilt. Zoning resolution comes into place post 61.
Exactly.
You're too big. That's basically
Exactly.
the,
Yes.
the purpose of the building. When it comes to MTA, obviously I know there's been discussions ongoing with the MTA about coordinating with them around the work you have to do, and also efforts to rebuild the Park Avenue train shed. Can you give us an update on where those conversations are?
Sure. First off, Jamie, Miriam, the whole team of the MTA, they're first class. We've worked with them for a long time, particularly around Penn Station, all the good work we've done there in public-private partnerships. So we've been engaged in a very constructive and collaborative process as we work through the design, both structurally to hold this building and the needs of the MTA adjacent to the project site, or future needs that they're identifying. As I think I said in my opening, we're fortunate that only the front 50 feet of this footprint actually is over the train shed. If you contrast that with 270 Park, where almost the vast majority of the footprint is, the area under the site actually doesn't even have active tracks. So in working with Miriam and Jamie and team, they've been focused on what are the future uses they may need underneath the footprint in that inactive area, in addition to trying to coordinate our work with their future viaduct reconstruction work happening out on Park Avenue. I could say the conversations are ongoing. They're very productive. They're very collaborative. Everyone's working well together. And I think in the end, both our project will benefit and the MTA will have great benefit from what we do together.
And the status on the sort of efforts to rebuild the Park Avenue train shed, I know that's a topic of conversation. Obviously, 270 had a conversation investment in that. Have you guys resolved or discussed some sort of investment in helping to repair that train shed?
We have discussed. We've discussed that. Obviously, their funding was kind of just approved as part of the state's $63 billion MTA capital plan. They're also focused on what sectors of the train shed are going to go first. There's likely to be more work around 270 Park Avenue coming up. So the timing of when that would happen, and the MTA's capital sources for doing that are part of the discussion, council member. We have suggested to the MTA that we're prepared to manage that work, just as JP Morgan Chase helped to manage the work in front of 270 Park, to ensure proper coordination and the best of what the private sector can bring to help the MTA to make sure that work is done efficiently, and minimizing impacts and coordinating between our work and their work is a critical component of what we've been discussing.
Yeah, and I'm not asking you guys to commit to a number or anything today, but is there a willingness to make an investment to help rebuild a train shed that's both under and around your building?
There's a willingness to make a reasonable investment.
I said reasonable is the sort of key word in that statement. All right, we will come back to that. Just jobs here for a second. I think you put a slide out. Can you just tell us again, construction jobs on site as construction goes on, the number and an anticipated amount of permanent jobs inside the building?
Sure. Our expectations are, as I said earlier, this is a project that's going to last approximately 7 years, 26 to 32, I guess 6 years. And then the tenants will be doing their own fit out, likely afterwards as we turn over space. So the anticipated construction jobs is approximately 6,000 jobs along that period of time. Not all of those are on site at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that also includes, as a multiplier effect, there's things that are manufactured off-site and brought on site. The building is anticipated to host about 15,000 employees upon its completion. We anticipate that the building will be, as all of Vornado's projects are, will be run with 32 BJ security guards and cleaning staff, and ultimately, be very well-staffed, I would say. It's a large building, a lot of staff, a lot of employees. Particularly for Citadel and Citadel Securities, they are a 5-day-a-week employer. Their employees are there all the time, and they're eating, they're shopping, they're eating, they're doing whatever it is they do in their jobs. But it's a building that will be filled and contributing.
You're saying that 5 days a week these days is a lot.
Well, for some companies it's not, but for Citadel it is.
And I forget, is there retail space in this building?
So there are 2 food and beverage spaces on the 51st Street side. We'll call it a cafe, think coffee shop. And on the northern side is a restaurant, as you would see in other buildings on Park Avenue. Both of those are intentionally located, and having worked with city planning, their entrances are off of the public concourse space to anchor the western side of the public concourse and provide activation to that side of the space.
And similar to the other tenancies, I assume that is a tenancy that happens much closer
to
the
delivery. Yes, thank you.
And of the 15,000 plus expected permanent jobs, how many does Citadel? What number of that is that? 50% based on the square footage? Is it?
It should be. Now, is that all Citadel employees? Not necessarily, but there's support staff that also works for Citadel.
Got it. Okay. Just when it comes to the public concourse, and then I think this is one of my last questions. When it comes to the public space, public concourse, what is the total square footage?
12,500 square feet.
What is required under the East Midtown rezoning? Is there a required number?
Yeah, the no action building would have had an approximately 5,000 square foot space at the mid block, a very different character of space than we're providing here in the high quality space. This is 24% of this site, which is a very sizable proportion of the development site given over to the public.
Okay. Sorry, what has a 24% number come to about with 12,000 versus
12,500 divided by 52,000 square foot site
of the lot area.
Oh, the lot. Oh, I see. Yeah. I see. And we did construction timeline. That's it. That's one of my questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Just a hypothetical question. I know at 270 Park, they got that nice LED light at nighttime. Are you guys planning on putting any lights on your building?
I think we were planning on it being a little bit more subtle than what
man.
Jamie Dimon did at the top. Although, if you saw that American flag on July 4th, you felt pretty patriotic, right?
Okay,
So
all right. Just figure I ask. Why not? There being no more questions for this panel, you're excused. Thank you so much for your time.
I have one last question. We're talking about 350 Park Avenue, but where does the Rudin building fit into this conversation, and what's the occupancy of that building going?
Yeah, so 350 Park Avenue is the beach frontage on Park Avenue, let's say. 40 East 52nd Street sits directly behind it. That is the building that I said formerly had BlackRock as its main tenant that moved to Hudson Yards. So if you take the 350 building, the 40 East 52nd Street building, and the small townhouse.
You're combining all those.
You combine those 3 properties, that creates the 52,000 square foot development footprint. Then the Madison Avenue building is just an air rights parcel that contributes to the air rights and the.
So Rudin and Vornado have joined forces to combine.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Powers. There being no questions, panel's excused. Thank you. For members of the public here to testify, please note that witnesses will generally be called in panels of 4. If a member of the public signed up to testify on proposal, please stand by when you hear your name. We're going to start with in person. I believe we only have 2 in person, so I'm going to call Theo Perez and Jonathan Reyes to testify. And then we're going to transition to online testimony. So Jonathan Reyes and Theo Perez.
Jonathan was an alternate on our panel, so
Okay. He's not in it. We just have one.
Oh, so we just have Theo. Okay. Theo, you could begin. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Good morning.
Oh, Theo, can you just press that button real quick?
Sure thing.
Yes.
All right. Are we live? Good?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Chair Riley and Member Powers. My name is Theo Perez. I'm here today representing SEIU Local 32BJ and the over 90,000 workers that we represent here in New York City. We are a member-driven union dedicated to ensuring that our workers share in the prosperity of the industries they contribute to. 32BJ supports responsible developers who treat their workers with respect The developers behind this rezoning have a demonstrated history of upholding industry standards, providing good jobs with prevailing wages and benefits to hundreds of union members across the city. Furthermore, they are on a path to a critical commitment to good jobs for the workers at this proposed site. We expect that roughly 75 building service jobs could be created at this site, opening a pathway to the middle class for dozens of New York families. As the cost of living rises and working New Yorkers struggle to make ends meet, it is more important now than ever to create jobs which uphold industry standards in the city. For these reasons, 32BJ is in strong support of the 350 Park Avenue rezoning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Theo. Councilman Powell, you have questions? Nope, there'd be no question. You're excused. Thank you so much. I'm going to transition to online testimony. We're first going to begin with Ryan Pukas, followed by Peter Thompson. Ryan, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Ryan.
Okay, great. My name is Ryan Pukos, and I'm the Director of Data and Public Affairs with the Grand Central Partnership. As one of the world's largest bids, serving a district with 76 million square feet of commercial, residential, and building space, our goal is to keep our Midtown East neighborhood clean, safe, and thriving. We believe that the redevelopment of 350 Park Avenue supports this goal in three important ways. First, 350 Park Avenue delivers on a core objective of the rezoning by increasing the neighborhood supply of modern, efficient, and sustainable Class A office space. In addition, the project will create restaurant and amenity spaces, generate jobs, and expand the tax base, all of which work to reinforce Midtown East's position as the world's central business district. Second, the project will enable major improvements to the neighborhood's public realm through a $35.8 million contribution to the Public Realm Improvement Fund and the creation of a 12,500 square foot public concourse along Park Avenue. Finally, 350 Park Avenue supports the long-term preservation of St. Bartholomew's Church and St. Patrick's Cathedral, both cornerstones of our community, through the purchase of 500,000 square feet of transferable development rights. Altogether, the purchase will unlock $151.7 million in capital to improve and maintain these historic landmarks. For these reasons, we support the redevelopment of 350 Park Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Peter Thompson, followed by Chad Perky. Peter, if you can hear me, please unmute and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Riley. My name is Peter Thompson. I serve as the vicar and interim rector of St. Bartholomew's Church at the southeast corner of Park Avenue and 51st Street, opposite from 350 Park. I'm here to communicate our strong support for the proposed building and public concourse. We at St. Bart's care about a thriving Midtown East and believe the proposed project will make a positive contribution to our neighborhood. The proceeds that we would receive from a sale of transferable development rights related to the construction of this project would support critical restoration and maintenance on the exterior of our building. It would also free other church resources to be used more directly for our mission, including for the outreach to the hungry we provide in partnership with Crossroads Community Services and the Coalition to the Homeless. It also allows non-TDR resources to be directed to the restoration and maintenance of the interior of our building. As you may know, we have benefited from TDR sales in the past. Past sales have provided funds for critical projects, including urgently needed structural repairs to our facility and the spectacular transformation of several of our facades. We simply wouldn't have the resources to undertake such restoration of our landmark building without the proceeds from these sales. We take seriously our responsibility to share our treasure of a building with the rest of the city, and the funding from this project would make it possible for us to do so for generations to come. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Chad Perky.
Great. Thank you, Chair Riley. On behalf of the Association for a Better New York, I'm speaking today in support of the requested actions to facilitate the proposed redevelopment of 350 Park Ave. New York City is at its best when it welcomes projects that are bold yet thoughtful. The reimagining of 350 Park Avenue offers just that by enhancing the city skyline and the iconic Park Avenue office district with good design, new public space, and a world-class office building. The proposed project will also deliver a major boost to our economy. The $4.5 billion project will deliver a new Class A office tower, create over 21,000 temporary and permanent jobs, and contribute over $181 million towards preserving New York City landmarks and enhancing East Midtown's public realm. Because of these many benefits, we strongly encourage the subcommittee to support the applicant's proposal and requested actions. Just diving a little further, at street level, this project will enhance the pedestrian experience along the iconic boulevard by shifting public space from its currently shadowed location on 51st Street over to Park Avenue. Here, this expertly designed concourse will add water features, plantings, and much-needed seating in the public realm, all adjacent to new spaces for ground floor restaurants and amenities. Within the building itself and during its construction, the project will create over 6,000 construction jobs, and upon completion, hold 15,000 permanent jobs in the building, an incredible result of the commitment from anchor tenant Citadel and the applicant's $4.5 billion investment in the project. As noted, that investment is not limited to the building itself. It will include $151 million that will be invested into world-famous landmarks, St. Bart's and St. Pat's, and supporting the future capital needs of those sites, along with over $35 million to support upgrades and enhancements to the public realm in East Midtown. Our city's ability to be globally competitive and recognized as a center for finance, design, and its iconic landmarks, it's not guaranteed, and we should never should be taken for granted. Those elements that keep our city great and poised for continued success in the future are the results of plans and actions like the new 350 Park Avenue that are, again, bold yet thoughtful. We encourage the subcommittee to support the project, voting in favor of the requested actions, and helping to keep New York City's future bright. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Chad. There being no questions for this panel is excused. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify regarding LUs 351 and 352 related to the 350 Park Avenue proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. I will now open the last public hearing on LU 353 and 355, which are two special permit applications related to the development of 515 7th Avenue in the Garment Center in Manhattan in Councilmember Botcher's district. I will note for the record that two applications that were related to this proposed development project approved by CPC have now been withdrawn by the applicant, namely LU's 354 for a bulk modification special permit and LU 356 for zoning text amendment. These two applications are no longer necessary in light of the recent adoption by the City Council of Midtown South Mixed-Use District rezoning proposal. With the renaming application, applicant is seeking to build a new commercial building, which requires a special permit for a pedestrian space floor area bonus and a special permit to operate a hotel. Okay. I will now call the applicant panel for this proposal, which consists of Richard Bass. Council, can you please administer the affirmation?
Hello, Mr. Bass. Could you please, thank you for raising your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in your testimony today and in response to council member questions? Of course. Thank you. Is this on?
No, I think you have the pressure.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Richard, you may begin.
Good.
State your name and organization for
Hi, I'm Richard Bass. I'm with Ackerman LLP. I represent the applicant. It's been a long morning and afternoon, so this is a relatively simple application now after Midtown South was rezoned and approved last week. The two actions we're seeking are a special permit to permit a hotel and a special permit to permit a covered pedestrian open space that would result in a 3 FAR bonus. Could we go to the next slide, please? So just for orientation, the site is one of 4 lots on this block. The other lots are built to 18, 21, and 26 FAR. With our proposed bonus, we would only be an 18 FAR. As you can see from the picture on the right, the bonus open space would be an inviting open space for the community. Next slide, please. Again, showing the development site. It's on the southeast corner of 38th and 7th. There's only 4 lots on the block. We're going to be the smallest building even after these actions. Next slide. The existing site consists of a 4.5, 5-story parking garage with some retail. It's not very attractive. We propose replacing it with a really Class A office building or office hotel building. Next slide, please. So this slide describes one of the special permits. As you can see from the upper right-hand corner, the space would be lit, inviting. As requested by the community board, we've expanded the hours of operation from 5 a.m. To 10 p.m. The lower diagram shows the bonus open space. We've added in a public restroom. The community board was very happy with that, as was the borough president and the planning commission. Next slide, please. The special permit for the hotel is required. We've been working with the Hotel Trades Council for this project has been going on pre-pandemic. They support the project, as does 32BJ. I'm hoping both will testify in support today. Next slide, please. This shows the two options. The applicant will decide, based on market conditions, whether he builds an office building and an office hotel building. But here are the two options. Next slide, please. This shows Community Board 5 unanimously supported our application. The borough president decided not to hold a public hearing because we've been communicating with them for the length of this process. They issued a letter of support for the project. The Planning Commission, of course, supported the project. Next slide, please. This gives an idea of what the open space would look like. It's kind of hard to see by this slide, but the rear wall will be a art feature that we believe will be garment related, and it will change over time. So we'll work with the either the art school nearby or the garment nonprofit, but this will reflect the garment related building activity in the area. Also, the building itself tips its hat to the knitting and the weaving of the garment district. Next slide, please. Actually, skip two more. This shows the heights of the building, but the most important slide is the next one. Next slide, please. Though hard to see, but you can see on the printout, we're in a dearth of public open space. So this will be a public amenity as opposed to one that doesn't add a lot to the public. And that basically is my presentation. I promise I would speak quickly. And
like you already. Thank you. Just a couple of questions. You spoke about the usage of the building, which will be a hotel or office. When would you make that decision, and what will determine that decision?
We're working with the applicant right now. Honestly, they haven't made up their mind. I think it will be a reflection on what the market condition is. But also, the world is a little crazy right now. Tariffs in, tariffs out, 25% on steel. All these factors will decide what we build, but I can't give you a date when that will be done.
Do you have potential tenants for either or already?
At this point, because this project took more than 5 years to get to this stage, anyone who had expressed interest in the building has moved on.
Gotcha.
So we're going to hit those. We're going to kick those tires starting now.
Okay. If you build a commercial building, what types of industries do you expect will rent this commercial space, and will there be manufacturing or garment industry presence here?
This will be a Class A office building. If it's only office, we have the open space on the base. There will be no retail other than the cafe in the open space. Just as the previous applicant described, there is a demand for Class A office space. And this would add to it.
Will there be any maintenance and security plan for the public space?
There will be, and we promise with the community board that when we get closer to construction, we'll work out those type of arrangements. Because there's as you know, there's a fine balance between creating a public amenity that then becomes a public nuisance. And creating a program that balance that and manage that is important to us and to the community.
Thank you. There being no more questions, you're excused.
Okay, thank you.
I believe we only have one testimony, so I'm going to call Theo Perez to come and testify on this project. Theo, you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Riley. Good to be back up here. My name is Theo Perez, and I'm here again representing SEIU Local 32BJ and the 175,000 property service workers we represent up and down the East Coast. We support responsible developers who invest in the communities where they build, and I'm happy to report that the developers of this proposed project have made a credible commitment to creating prevailing wage good jobs for the workers who will permanently staff the buildings. We estimate that this rezoning could allow for the creation of 6 to 12 property service jobs. Good jobs like these mean prevailing wages, meaningful benefits, and a pathway to the middle class for the local community members who fill them. As the cost of living rises and working New Yorkers struggle to make ends meet, it is more important now than ever to create jobs which uphold industry standards in the city. For these reasons, 32BJ is in strong support of the 515 7th Avenue rezoning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Theo. Being no questions, you're excused. Thank you so much. There being no other members of the public who wish to testify regarding LUs 353 and 355 related to the 515 7th Avenue proposal, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use and other council staff, and most importantly, the Sergeant at Arms for participating in today's meeting. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.